Hi, I'm Rupert Huchev, Chairman and Chief Researcher of the Hurun Report. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the healthcare sector, specifically in China. And specifically, we've got two brand new lists for you. One is the top 100 most successful startups in the healthcare sector. And the other one is the top 100 most successful and influential young entrepreneurs from this sector. Now, before I start, I want to say thank you very much to our partner. That's the Baoding city government. Baoding is in Hebei, just south of Beijing. And specifically, it's the Baoding International Medical Base, which, if you like, is an industrial park that's designed to encourage and support these young entrepreneurs and young businesses in the healthcare sector to grow faster and faster. So we know that healthcare around the world is evolving at a fast rate, especially as we hurtle towards this fourth industrial revolution. In this era of AI, we can expect more and more research, more and more discoveries to be made in this field. But maybe a lot of people aren't quite aware of quite how fast the healthcare sector is developing in China, as we see from this list. So when we look at the most famous companies or the most valuable companies in the world in healthcare, well, at the moment they're both doing weight loss drugs. One is Eli Lilly from America, another one is Novo Nordisk, which is in Europe. So they're the most valuable, and then you've got the likes of Johnson & Johnson and so on and so forth. In China, well, funny enough, when we looked at the healthcare sector on the 500 most valuable companies in China, it's number one. It's led by the likes of Mindray, which is a medical equipment provider, Hurun, which is a pharmaceutical manufacturer, and then also the likes of Wuxi AppTec, which is a CRO. So just to give you a little flavor. But today we're actually focusing on the young startups, as I say. And there's a stat here that I think is really interesting. So we do a list of the most successful unicorns in the world, well, all the unicorns in the world. Medical or healthcare, if you like, is top 3. Okay, sounds good. Means that the future global 500 companies are going to be, top 3 sectors. It should also include medical. I can understand that. But we also do a list of the future unicorns in the world. We call them gazelles and cheetahs. It's like 2 different parts of our zoo, I suppose. And here it's more interesting. Healthcare is not just number 1, it's like absolutely number 1. We've got 330 odd healthcare companies on these 2 lists in the world. And China, believe it or not, has 170. So over half of them are actually coming from China, which shows that there is some sort of revolution going on in the healthcare sector in China. And you can expect the next wave of unicorns to be from the healthcare sector, which should then, over the next 10 years, feed into the global 500, or at least certainly the China 500. Now, it's quite a difficult sector to get one's head around. Partly because a lot of these names, as I say, are very young, so understandably so. They're less than 10 years old. The average is 7 years, in fact. Partly also because most of them are selling to businesses, so they're not sort of selling to consumers, so they're not consumer brands. 95% are actually selling to businesses. Only 5 out of the top 100 are actually listed companies, so the other 95 are still privately held. So that means that a lot of these names, perhaps you're not very familiar with. So I'm trying to get my head around how to describe this list. I looked at, well, what problems are they solving? And here I came up with, 60% are solving cancer-related problems. That gives you a lot of hope that they're going to actually come up with a cure, or at least a lot of help to alleviate the cancer issue. The second problem that they're solving are chronic diseases. So again, it gives you a sense that these chronic diseases are getting a lot of research, getting a lot of attention. And then the third main issue that they're solving is the aging population. So that sort of just puts into perspective. So it's cancer is the 60%, and then you've got chronic diseases, 25%, and then aging population is 15%. So that's sort of what they're doing, if you like. When we look at these companies, they're pretty big already. And there's about 3 just under the $5 billion mark. 27 of them are unicorns. So, they set up less than 10 years ago, actually on average 7 years, and already got $27 billion businesses. I mean, wow, it's pretty serious actually. Number 100 has a valuation of just under $300 million. So again, it gives you some of the scale of what we're talking about. When we looked at the entrepreneurs, Possibly this is the most highly educated bunch of entrepreneurs from any sector. So of the top 100 young entrepreneurs under the age of 45 that made our list, 70% are either masters or PhD holders. And they all come from really famous universities. So the universities like Tsinghua up in Beijing, or Harvard, 4 of them that graduated from Harvard, and so on, Peking University and others as well. So they're really coming from the most famous schools, and they've got serious sort of degrees and sort of academic achievements behind them. So that gives you a little flavor of what this list is about. And overall, what Hurun is all about is trying to tell the story of the healthcare sector in today's case through the stories of the most successful startups and the most successful young entrepreneurs. I hope that you find this list useful. If you're in the sector, well, perhaps you can help these young entrepreneurs grow. Perhaps you can help them think bigger and certainly get bigger as well. I suppose that's what the whole point of it is. And we're also trying to encourage investors to perhaps think more about how to invest into these companies. It's always very difficult sometimes to know if this company is for real or for not. But basically, if you've got some serious investors behind it and they've done their research properly, then chances are, and it's certainly got a good chance of being for real. So thank you very much for watching, and keep watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.